So first off, who am I to talk to you about dealing with injuries? Well, I played at a decent level and I've had 3 major surgeries in my time as a soccer player with very tough recoveries. Obviously, we all pick up some small knocks playing soccer. I've been out for, a couple weeks, a month, 2 months at times, but my first very serious injury came shortly after I moved to the UK. I ended up tearing my ACL in a trial. I actually tried to go back on the field after tearing my ACL, and as you can imagine, it didn't go very well. I thought I had, jogged off my injury, but doesn't work like that. My injury was actually misdiagnosed at first, so surgery was very delayed. And eventually I found out that I had a torn ACL, complete tear, and a torn meniscus. And that was a few months after the injury, after I had seen, multiple doctors. And then I got into surgery. I managed to get fit and have the best years of my playing career after that surgery, even though it was a very long recovery. Eventually, I broke bones in the top of my foot and tore my Lisfranc ligament, playing soccer again. And 2 games into coming back from that injury, I tore my Achilles tendon. I'm planning on playing again, in the coming months, now that I've recovered from my Achilles tear. My coaching work has definitely taken some priority, but I love soccer and I am going to play again. I think it's hard to argue that I don't have experience being injured, recovering from injuries. I've looked extensively into studies on injuries, how they affect us mentally, physically, what we can do to reduce rates of injury, what we can do to deal with being injured, and how we can get through injuries and get over injuries. And basically, everything else you could possibly think of, related to being injured as an athlete, I've looked into. Resistance training is one of the very few proven ways to reduce injury rates. If you are not resistance training, you need to be. Other strategies exist, but the research is definitely not as clear on them. Now, I'm not going to go into too much depth on resistance training in this video. I've covered this topic extensively in other videos that I'll link below. I will say, however, that you can probably get all of the benefits of resistance training in just about an hour or 2 of training weekly. The hugely reduced rates of injury in athletes that follow a resistance training program already make that small time investment worth it. And that's not even considering the other benefits of resistance training. Injuries might be painful, but I found that they are much tougher to deal with mentally than physically. I remember crying as my teammates helped me hobble off the field after I tore my Achilles tendon. And it wasn't because the injury hurt. Actually, I think that was one of the least painful injuries that I've ever suffered. It was because I could already feel that something was wrong, and I knew that long road to recovery that was, facing me. I had just gone through that. I was 2 games in. I had been enjoying myself, playing back on the field so much, and to get injured again, it just crushed me, not physically, but mentally. Now, the idea of resilience is something that I've talked about before, but I think it's important to touch on it again. Tough moments are what make you great. Everyone who has achieved anything in life has suffered major setbacks, and I'm sure if you ask them, they would be glad that they had, because that is what made them. Not only were they able to overcome these setbacks, but I'm sure that these setbacks are in part what made them successful. Going through hardships will make you a better player, and seeing injuries as something to overcome rather than just a setback will make them so much easier to deal with. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't touch on the biopsychosocial model of pain. Apart from big injuries, soccer players pick up small knocks all the time. Bruises, sprains, scrapes, small aches, and little pains. Regardless of how big or small an injury is, the worst thing you can do is catastrophize it. According to the biopsychosocial model of pain, pain isn't only caused by the physical and injury. That's the part that's bio. But what about the psycho and the social parts of pain? Pain doesn't always mean injury. So don't jump to the conclusion that you're injured just because you're in a bit of pain. Sometimes pain is just pain. Nothing more than that. What is more, you can make pain a lot worse by how you view and experience it. These things are influenced by your own psychology and social factors as well. So don't make your pain or your injury worse by expecting things to get worse, by expecting yourself to be debilitated, or by thinking there's nothing that you can do to get better, because there is. Imagine for a moment if the only thing in your life was soccer, and then suddenly you couldn't play. All of a sudden, your life would be completely empty. No wonder so many athletes suffer from depression when they retire, because they lose a huge part of themselves. So what I want you to do is prepare yourself to be injured. Now, I hope that you never get injured, but you need to prepare yourself for that situation, just in case. And I don't want you to lose all of your life, and have your life be empty because you're forced onto the sidelines. Yes, soccer is probably a huge part of your life if you're watching this video, and that is completely fine. Soccer is a huge part of my life, but it should not be the only thing in your life. For me, when I was injured, I got to spend time with my fiance, my family, my friends. I started taking coaching more seriously. I focused a lot of my energy on school. I encourage you now, think about what your life would look like if you couldn't play soccer. If it's empty, then please do something as simple as picking up a small hobby. One day, you won't be able to play or be able to play at the level that you want to play at anymore, whether that's temporary or permanent. Being prepared for that eventuality is important. Going hand in hand with being prepared to be injured is what should you do while you're injured. Don't waste your time. There is so much that you can do while injured, and it really annoys me to see players do none of it. Don't waste your time. After injuries, I was in the gym as quickly as I could be. Yes, I wasn't able to train as I usually did, but with my foot in a cast or a boot, I was doing single leg squats, single leg deadlifts, hip thrusts. I was benching, I was doing Z press, chin ups, and a bunch of other exercises that I could do on crutches or with my foot in a boot. Fitness can be hard if you're on crutches, but you can do single leg cycling, maybe swimming. If you got stitches, that can be a concern, but once they've healed up, you can definitely swim. I used to, do jump rope on one foot, which, can be fun. Some circuit training as well, which I don't usually recommend, but while you're injured, it's a good way to get in some fitness. Bottom line is, you can choose to sit in bed or on the couch for weeks or months or years, or you can do what you can in the situation that you're in. What else can you do? Mental training is super important. I hope you've watched my other video on this, but I'll touch on it here. Mental training is one of the most underrated and underused tools that you can use to become a better player. And it is especially important when you're injured, because being injured is such a tough situation to be in mentally. I've talked about how hard being injured can be. You need to keep yourself in a good mental state. You can be doing things like using self-talk scripts, imagery scripts, meditation. You can spend time with people that you love and care about who help you mentally. It's definitely a stressful experience to be injured, so take care of your mental health and deal with that stress productively. So there you go. I hope you feel like you've gotten something out of this video. Let me know if it helped in the comment section, or ask me any questions that I didn't answer here. Until next time.